Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajanandana Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verse 23. 16:23. Let me know when everyone has it on their phone or on their Bhagavad Gita. Ready? Yashastram vidimutsrijya vartate kamakarata nasa siddhimavapnoti na sukham na parangatim yashastra vidimutsrijya vartate kamakarata nasa siddhimavapnoti, na sukham na parangatim. Yashastram vidimutsrijya vartate kamakartaha nasa siddhimavapnoti na sukham na parangatim. If anyone would like to try, go ahead.
Yashastra vidimutsujya
Yashastram vidimutsrijya
vartate kamakarata nasa siddhimavapnoti na sukham na paramgatim. Anyone else?
Yashastra vidimutsujya vartate kamakarataha nasa siddhimavapnoti na sukarna parangatim.
Anyone else would like to try?
Yashastra vidimutsujya
Yashastram vidimutsrijya
vartate kamakarataha nasa siddhimavapnoti na sukarna parangatim.
Thank you. Okay. So we'll read one of the paragraphs of the purport along with the translation, and then after that we'll kind of hear why specifically we're discussing this verse today. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. Any volunteers to read the purport?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, please take the mic.
As described before, the Shastra Vidhi or the direction of the Shastra is given to the different castes and orders of human society. Everyone is expected to follow these rules and regulations. If one does not follow them and acts whimsically according to his lust, greed and desire, then he never will be perfect in his life. In other words, a man may theoretically know all these things, but if he does not apply them in his own life, then he is to be known as the lowest of mankind. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and to follow the regulations given for elevating his life to the highest platform, but if he does not follow them, then he degrades himself. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles and ultimately does not come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. And even if he accepts the existence of God, if he does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. Therefore, one should gradually raise himself to the platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service. It is then and there that he can attain the highest perfectional stage, not otherwise. The word Kama Karata is very significant. A person who knowingly violates the rules and acts in lust, he knows that this is forbidden but still he acts. This is called acting whimsically. He knows that this should be done but still he does not do it. Therefore he is called whimsical. Such persons are destined to be condemned by the Supreme Lord. Such persons cannot have the perfection which is meant for the human life. The human life is especially meant for purifying one's existence, and one who does not follow the rules and regulations cannot purify himself, nor can he attain the real stage of happiness. Hare Krishna.
Please turn off the mic. Hare Krishna. Jnanam Tindrasya, Jnanam Janashalakaya, Chakshurunmilitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. My spiritual masters opened my eyes with torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto them. Okay. So we'll read the translation once. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness, nor the supreme destination. Hare Krishna. So, there is a specific reason we are going a little off the track when it comes to reading Bhagavad Gita, because we have been kind of reading one verse after the other, and we were in second chapter. So when we are reading second chapter, we are at verse 54, and the guests are going to continue from there on in the next visit, but they are a series of verses, and those series of verses have some specific importance and value. So we'll leave for them to kind of give a little bit more kind of detailed understanding to that. But I wanted to bring this particular verse for a reason, and the reason for that is many a times a very common question that is being asked is why there are so many rules and regulations in Bhakti. Has anyone come across that question, or has that question crossed their mind ever before? Okay, I see maybe a few smiles, few nods. Okay, so it's a very important question, but if you know the mood of asking that question, or I guess let's put it this way, if you have a mood which is not a challenging one, but a little bit more submissive one, then it would be easier for understanding this. Okay? And that is one of the reasons why I brought the verse that we have in Bhagavad Gita. The name of the chapter that we are reciting this verse from is the divine and demoniac natures. So basically this chapter is helping differentiate how the nature of an individual who acts demoniacally or who acts in divinity. Right? And I think it was a little bit obvious with what we read, that he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness, nor the supreme destination. Okay? So, usually there are quite a few different kinds of people that we'll encounter. And we can ask this question to ourselves as well. What kind of individual am I? The very simple understanding can be, or differentiation can be, am I divine or am I demoniac? Again, there is no reason to have someone else ask that question to you. You can ask the question to yourself. And that's the way for us to kind of introspect. That's the way for us to try and correct ourselves and see what is right, what is wrong. Okay? And that is why Bhagavad Gita is a nice handbook to have, because it's not going to just help you become like a sannyasi and you'll be in the ashram for all the time. It is for you to use on a day-to-day basis. There are certain moral values, certain practices one has to live by. And one of the characteristics which parents can give their kids is that they can teach the right, the value, and the right moral ethics which they can live with in their lives, right? If that is not done, then the kid would become, or kids would become much more what is mentioned in the Shastra is called Varna Shankara, right? Which is that they won't be able to have any understanding of what is Varna, what is Ashrama, or what is the importance of being truthful or virtuous as compared to just being demoniac. But again, going back to the question, why there are so many rules and regulations in Bhakti? Anyone would like to share, or have you come across? Let's start with that. I saw something today and I was like, why? Someone can question this. So let's kind of see if someone like amongst us would have something that they might have done and they might have questioned. Why do we do this? Like when we come to the temple. Anything? Anyone would like to share? The mic is there. Someone would like to share, please pass the mic to them. Okay, if not, I'll have to maybe pick and choose. Anything? No one? You all do what is told in Bhagavad Gita? Okay. Great, that makes it easy. Let's just start reading from first page to the last page and we're done. Yes, please ask. That's okay. There is no right or wrong. If you like to say something.
Is it okay if she says in Malayalam?
Yeah, and you can translate. And also, if you can also translate in Malayalam for her what we are trying to say. Anything? Yeah. What's that?
She does not ever question.
She never questions. Okay, so that's good. That's a submissive mood. Maybe you can translate that for if she is able to follow her. Yeah, that should be there. But it should not be sentimental. Right? So Prabhupada said something very important, which is, anyone remembers the statement, religions without philosophy is sentimentalism. And then the opposite? It is kind of described in the words that we read, in a way, that it can also become fanaticism if we end up just knowing all the rules and regulations, but actually we just only think about the rules and regulations. So, okay, few more questions before I guess we can, Prabhu, go ahead.
So not all are well versed with the doctrine of different sampradayas, right? But one thing in common is that you need to.
Can you please give the mic? It is on pause, so you'll have to just click one short time. You just press the button.
Am I audible?
I guess you could answer the question there.
So my take is that not everyone is well versed, right, with all the principles across different sampradayas, what you should be following and what should be abstaining. One thing in common in all the sampradayas is that you need to be clean, okay, both in your thoughts as well as your gestures. I'm not sure if there's a certain doctrine that speaks about being clean before you enter a place of worship or before you do certain rituals at home, right? So that is how I don't need anyone to tell me to be clean to do certain things, but it is something that is expected of you.
But for someone who might not know that, right? And that's the reason I'm asking this question. Like, I'll give an example. The question is basically, have you come across certain things that you do at the temple and you think like, why we are doing it this way? Right? Versus that's an observation that you're making, that you already know that you're coming in and you have to be clean. So that's great. Yes, we need to be clean when we come. We need to be more mentally clean as compared to physically, but of course physical cleanliness is also important. So that's understandable. But I'm asking certain things that we do when we come to the temple. Like, I'll give an example. Someone was paying obeisances facing this way, someone was facing middle, someone was facing the other way. Like, why there are certain ways of doing certain things. I'm again not going into the details of that. I'm just asking this because I want all of you to try and kind of reciprocate. I'm sure there are so many things that you'll come across. which you'll be doing, should it be done with blind faith, blind following, or you need to know? Is it just superstitious, or is it just important to some extent? So those are the kind of questions, again, I'm asking all of you to kind of have in your mind, right? And that is where I'll read this, what it's mentioned here. Okay. If he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles, and ultimately does not come to the stage of understanding to the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. And if he accepts the existence of God, if he does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. Right? So even if one knows it or one doesn't know it, if he's at least accepting God, that is of some value. But then, if he's so caught up in just the process of knowing the rituals or right way of doing things and not the wrong way of doing whatever, then that's also spoiling the devotional service. And this is the part of important message which I want to try and kind of have across every one of you. That bhakti, I think this was mentioned even in the last 2 sessions with the guest speakers that we had. Someone had asked about offering the food in the same container, as in like if it's onion and garlic. And then last week someone asked, what was the question? Tulsi ji? Yes. Okay. So like the questions are having some importance. If you're not able to sit there, please sit on the chair, it's fine. So the questions are valid, but we also have to understand something, and this is the part which I would say all of us have to take home. The message that bhakti is not something which is going to be limited with only rules and regulations. But at the same time, the rules and regulations are helpful for us to do better bhakti. Right? So here a very important word is mentioned, and that is Shastra Vidhim. Okay? What is Shastra? Scriptures, books, okay? And Vidhim? Process, the right process, the process as mentioned in the scriptures, right? Prabhupada is translating that as the regulations of the scriptures. So, someone might say, I cannot do this. Like for example, we usually ask people that, oh, you know, in the kitchen, if you're helping, you want to cook at least after you're clean, you have to chant certain number of rounds. Again, you're cooking for the Lord, so you don't taste it before. All these rules and regulations are there. But if we just get too caught with just that thought process that there is so much to do, why can't I just kind of cook the way I like it, let me do the way I want it, nobody has to tell me what I need to do, then what happens? There is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, I can't remember the exact verse number, but it says, Utpat eva hi kevalam. Utpat means disturbance, right? It is like turbulence, if the real word meaning would be turbulence. So sometimes when we say I don't want to hear from anyone, whom are we actually hearing from? Whom are we hearing from? Ourselves? Okay. Who is ourselves? Okay. That would be quite nice if we are connected with Paramatma and we can kind of answer the questions that way. But that's not the case, yeah? Paramatma, but Paramatma guides when we are conducive. It's like you get over here, is the telephone, let's put it this way, internet here in the space? Yes or no? Is there internet waves running through the space? Yes. If we don't have the right device, if we don't have the device that connects to the Wi-Fi, then are we going to be able to capture those? Okay, so the Paramatma is present within our heart. But our unfortunate situation is that we have looked away from Him. And we are looking away from Him that we cannot even receive what the Paramatma is saying. He is witnessing everything. He is present among us. He is witnessing everything what we are doing, demoniac or divine. That all is there with Paramatma. But He is waiting for the right time for us to turn towards Him. And this scriptures or the rules and regulations to some extent are helping us to, get in tune with Paramatma. So the question which I was asking is, who is ourselves? Mataji said, ourselves. Whom are we listening from?
Ourself in mode of passion, ignorance, or goodness.
Ourself in mode of passion and ignorance, okay? Whom are we? Who is that individual that we are listening of?
Mind.
Mind? Okay. Mind or intelligence?
Soul.
Senses, mind, intelligence, soul, and then super soul.
No, I don't want the whole Bhagavad Gita. I'm asking for a specific, when we don't hear from anyone else and say, I'm going to do it as I like, whom are we listening to?
Mind.
Right? The right process is what you mentioned, that mind, thinking, feeling, willing. Right? And that is where you are going. Thinking, feeling, willing. Oh, I see something, I think of it, I am willing to have that, or I like it, and then you act on it. But I'm talking about when I say, oh, in the temple I go and they're saying that use the achman before you offer the flowers, pay obeisances this way, kirtan has to be this way, a book on kirtan standards. So, like that. The point is, why do we follow everything else, but then we say that, oh, it's too much, and then we say, oh, I'll just do what I like. That I like is the mind. And mind is definitely one of the authorities that we always listen to. It is true, right? As true as it can get. When it comes to the term that is used in this verse, when we do things whimsically. What is a whim? Someone can look up the actual word meaning and then we'll see what Prabhupada has to say. Whim. W-H-I-M.
A sudden desire.
A sudden desire, that's what it says. Which dictionary are we looking at? Quick, 30 seconds or less, if not money back. Guaranteed.
A sudden wish or idea, especially one that cannot be reasonably explained.
Right, a sudden wish or an idea which cannot be reasonably explained. Okay, and then what is Prabhupada saying in this purport? Does anyone remember reading that?
According to his lust, greed, and desire.
A person? No. So the one after that. He knows that this is forbidden, but still he acts. This is called acting whimsically. Right? So, the way we read in the dictionary, secular dictionary, it's like without any reasoning. Versus what is Bhagavad Gita giving us? It's giving us the proper reasoning. Why to do certain things, what we want to do. So the whimsical understanding is basically, I like to do whatever I like to do, I'll just do it. So, can you do that when you drive on the road?
No.
Yeah? Can you just kind of drive on the opposite side? Oh, I just wanted to, so I did it anyways. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. In the, I have done this, but when we bake, instead of 1 teaspoon, I'll just put 1 tablespoon. Does that work? In fact, I went to the extent of doing there's no difference, tablespoon, teaspoon, no difference between cup measurements, and instead of using half teaspoon, I added half teaspoon of soda. You could imagine an experiment that it was. So yes, those things can happen, right? But this is what whimsically acting means. We don't want to act with a whim which is unexplainable. Because ultimately we are accountable of it. Right? We are accountable to answer ourselves. And who is that self? Is that mind? That self is different. That's why I asked that question again. That is the Atma. Okay? So, Atma is the one who is actually very next to intelligence. So now going to what you were saying, Prabhu, which is mind, intelligence, and then
Soul and super soul.
ego, right? But there is false ego, and then there is true ego. So, if we keep ourselves limited with the thought process of I'll do whatever I like to, or I'll just act on it like that, it is going to create a situation for us which is going to be much more difficult. Because we will be accountable to the process of karma. Everyone relates to the term karma? Yes? Okay. Karma, we can get, like whatever we, what's the famous third law? What does it say? What goes around comes around, what we bounces back to us. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? So, when we act in a way which is Shastra Vidhim, right? Which is according to the Shastra, then it is going to be not whimsical. It is not going to be something which is what we'll have to pay for. And this is a very scientific overview of what I'm trying to help people understand, that it is not that, my spiritual master says this, it is not International Society of Rules and Regulations consciousness. It is International Society for Krishna consciousness. So we have to be mindful of the Lord. We have to remember the Lord. And that could be done in any possible way. Right? Even if you pay obeisances that way or this way. But if you are, as Prabhu was saying, I know what I need to do when I come to the temple. Nobody needs to tell me that. But when it is told, there is a reason for it. And if you try and get to know that reason, but with the right mood that I have to go cleanse in temple. When you know, I'm sure many of you might know that we have to, let's say, eat, okay? And we eat, not because we're hungry, or maybe we might think that just because we're hungry, or maybe our tongue likes the taste. But then there is also the third reason behind that, which is it gives us nutrition, right? So if someone as a kid would only know that, oh, I like it, but they don't understand that, like meaning that, oh, it also gives you nutrients that you need on a day-to-day basis, then for them they'll only pick and choose. Is that correct? If I like it, if I'm hungry, I'll eat something, but it might not be the right thing all the time. The same way, in bhakti, it is the same understanding. So we might know certain reasons, we might do certain things, but there might be something more to be known. And that's the kind of curiosity I want all of you to come with, having that open mind when you're doing devotional service. Having that mind that, oh, maybe I could learn something more. Because a very famous statement is said that if you think you are the person who knows everything, you're not in the right room. Right? Because it might be that you're not even feeling that desire to, if a pot is full, then you're not going to be able to add more water to it. Right? So the same way, if you feel you are full, because that is not the case, I'm pretty sure not all of us are like PhD, double PhD, or whatever out the knowledge there is there to be. We don't have all of it. There is more to learn. And we come with that mindset, then we'll be able to understand that, oh, there is something more to learn. So, for example, That's what the Shastra is telling us to say, which telling us more so. So when it comes to Shastra, I'll go with the example of what all of us were discussing about the mind, the intelligence, and kind of give a little bit more of an understanding. I'm sure many of you might have looked at different pictures that are here in Bhagavad Gita. I'll just want to show you, maybe it's not in this Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, it is. Okay. Alright. So, everyone can see this picture? The one with the horses? Okay. How many horses do you see?
5.
Okay. The closest one are saying less. That's not good. Well, you have 3 fingers. You 3 or 5? 4? Okay. 4 or 5? Who need glasses? Okay. There are 5 horses. There is one that is hiding right here. Maybe you're not able to see there. But there are 5 horses. Okay? And those 5 horses are
5 senses.
your 5 senses. Which are those senses? So that picture is also here. That might be hard to see. Definitely you'll need binoculars, not even glasses for that from the distance. But so that is eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and then genitals. Right? So all those senses are going to acquire some knowledge. Okay? And then after that, what do we have here? The rein of the horses. Right? You see the reins? Yeah, okay. And above the rein is the one who's holding the rein. Right? Right here. Yeah. That is... Anyone knows the analogy?
That is intelligence. The one holding the
Okay, so this is where you have to learn what I'm trying to kind of help everyone understand. The senses are the lowest. Okay, so whatever we see, the senses are there. Then above the senses is the mind. The rein of the horses is the mind. Like the way they say, I guess it's a very common term, right? Zaban ko lagam. That lagam, like one of the senses is what's referred there. But it's like all the senses needs to be controlled. And that is done by the mind. And above the mind comes the intelligence. And that is the intelligence that we gain on a day-to-day basis. And then we do thinking happens, then feeling happens or willing happens, and then we act on it. And that is going on in the opposite direction. So from the intelligence, then the mind, then the senses act on it. Okay, there's karmendriya, gnanendriya, like that. So, when our intelligence is fed with proper information, Shastra Vidhi, then the mind, then the senses are going to be acting properly. Then the horses are going to go in the direction we want them to go. Otherwise it's going to be all scattered all over. So, whimsical mean one horse is going in this direction. That's what the mind would say. Oh, today I need to go to some other appointment or whatever. You know, it's not that you don't go, but that would come first. Then the other side would, no, maybe instead I should go to the temple. No, then the third one would say, oh no, we have to finish this. Let's go there. So all the horses going in different direction, you're not going to get to anywhere. And that's what the whimsical thought process would do. Does that happen to anyone when they use the social media sometimes? You start somewhere, you end up somewhere, 2 hours are gone, and you don't even know what happened, right? I think the modern day terminology is doom scrolling, right? Like you get doomed in a way. You lose all that valuable time you had because it was not planned the proper way. You didn't have the proper goal, you didn't have the intelligence to kind of differentiate what was right and what was wrong, right? So, I did ask the question, who is this?
soul.
Who is this? Anyone?
Weak soul.
It is the soul. It is ourselves. So, if, as I was saying, the soul is next to the intelligence, right? So, if we don't use the right intelligence, then it can create all the troubles we talked about. Now, why I'm kind of going in this direction for you to all understand is the Shastra Vidhi is not just something that one has to become a learned Pandit and just do like things in a way which you don't even do on a day-to-day basis. But it has to be done, as Prabhupada mentions here, the human life is especially meant for purifying one's existence. And one who does not follow the rules and regulations cannot purify himself, nor can he attain the real stage of happiness. Right? So, we are all looking for happiness? Yes? Anyone not looking for happiness? Okay, good. So, happiness can be found in many different ways, but it is not going to be permanent or something which is not going to last forever. So we want to look for happiness which is going to last forever. And the way to do that is when we are able to please the source of all happiness. And that is none other than Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when we know, okay, let's put it this way. If I have, I guess nowadays it's a common thing, many individuals would have pets. Yes? Okay. So if I have a pet and the pet has, I'm just going to make this up, allergy to peanut butter. Okay? And either you forget to tell or the person who's taking care of your pet, they forget to ask. And if they feed the pet what they like, and the first one on their list is peanut butter, is it good or bad? Maybe we can ask our vet, is it good for?
Very bad.
Very bad. Okay, thank you. So, it is not good, of course, right? And I guess it's good for his business, maybe. No. But still, it's not good for the living entity, the living entity in that dog body, right? So why did I bring that point up, right? The point is that when we are taking care or when we are worshipping the Lord, we are worshipping them because they have been handed over to us preciously from the higher authorities, the Guru Parampara. It is not whimsical that we start doing things what we like. We do things what they say, oh be careful, do it this way. Don't feed peanut butter. Don't feed XYZ. And sometimes we find that even if we, I know someone who personally is allergic to dogs, but they'll still keep dogs. Right? You know that? You know someone? Okay. They'll take a pill every day just so that they can be with the dog. That's how dedicated people are. Again, why I'm saying this is because we are trying to take care of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, don't take the analogy in a literal way. We are not talking about DOG, we are talking about GOD. Right? We are actually talking about Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's not comparable to dog, but I'm using that to remind people to understand the analogy. So when people are handing over their precious thing to someone else to take care of, that is what Guru Parampara is doing. They are giving us the care that they want us to take for the deities, for the Lord. And that's where the rules and regulations are coming. That they like this, they don't like this is how we do it. And that is where it changes from sampradaya to sampradaya. But there are certain things, as Prabhu said, like you have to be clean, that's going to be respective of any sampradaya. It's, and when you talk about not just sampradaya, we can talk about other religion systems too. Like, there is always a belief system of someone supreme, and that is kind of, let be, you know, someone from the Muslim faith or someone from Christian faith or Jewish background or anything, right? And for those who don't have any, the atheist, they also have someone, and that's their mind, right? Definitely that's their mind, because they act whimsically. So, going back to why someone would painstakingly keep a dog even though they're allergic, the same way we have to understand, we might be quite painstaking to follow all the rules and regulations, what might be told to us. What might be like, oh, this is the way you take care of them. But we'll still do that. We'll still do that so that we can honor the request of the previous acharyas. Because they have seen the truth. They are tattvadarshis. They have been telling us because they have actually realized this knowledge. Right? Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnana sevaya upadekhyachite jnanam jnanina tattvadarshina. They have seen the truth. So all these questions are valid when we ask this question that why do we do it this way, why not that way? But they have to be coming in a mood of submissive inquiry rather than a challenging inquiry. And then we also have to look at it in a perspective that why we are doing it a certain way. The reason to do it a certain way is because we don't have the capacity to ultimately please Supreme Lord. But we know someone who has done it, someone who's been doing it, and they can teach us. So if they are saying, don't do this, do it this way, then we can just follow the same path. Like a very simple example, I think Mataji was saying that no question, she just follows. That would be like a child who is just learning to know different colors, and you just keep saying yellow color to be red all the time. So when they grow up, for them, they will always say this is red, because their parents said it's red. Their parents are the highest authority for the kids. The same way, if we can have an authority like that and then just kind of follow the authority, great. But there is also, we are grown-up individuals, we have the intelligence to make that distinction, that what is good, what is divine, what is demoniac. And that's why the verse here, which it says that we have to follow a certain thing. Now this is what I'm going to read once again so that it kind of helps everyone understand. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane. Yes? Are we all supposed to be insane? No. Okay, good. Thank you. We are supposed to be sane, right? Okay. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and to follow regulations given for elevating his life to the highest platform. And for those who cannot, at least for the platform of whatever, like as we're driving and what we talked about, right? But if he does not follow them, then he degrades himself. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles and ultimately does not come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. So, knowing just the knowledge is not good, but not acting on the knowledge is also not good. So that is why when we have to be sane, it's not just rules. We still have to connect. I think last week, those who were here, Shamadulal Prabhu mentioned the salt part, remember? What did he say?
Say Hare Krishna.
Say Hare Krishna, but there was something else too, he said.
At the end, he puts salts with the saying Hare Krishna.
Yes, but what was the deeper meaning to that? He said that he does that because, yes, he puts the salt in a way that it is not too much, too little, and that's why he says the mantra so that he can please the Lord. So ultimately, it is about pleasing the Lord. Whatever we cook at home, whatever we do when we come at the temple, it's about pleasing the Lord. And if the Lord is pleased, sure enough, even if the salt is less, it will still taste nice. Right? So that is the point. The rules and regulations are there. We are not going to add sugar instead of the salt, or half teaspoon instead of half tablespoon, or whatever the measurements are. But when we are doing that, we still have the right mood, which is, I want to please the Lord by offering this. Right? So I'll end with something very simple, and this is in the same line as what we just talked about, which is that a question was asked to one of my spiritual mentors, that when you are offering your hard-earned money in the service of the Lord, as a donation or whatever you're doing for the temple, how should you do that? In a way that, would you just offer that money in a way that after all, like how do you calculate it rather? That's the question. So, a simple answer can be whatever you need for your requirement to live, and then if you have some savings or if you have some extra, you can give that towards, because you definitely need enough to, run your family, right? But the answer they received was in the same mood as what we are just discussing, that yes, we are going to do it that way, that we can only give what we are left with after all our expenses are covered. But we have to keep the right mood. And the right mood is that we are going to submit, or we are going to give first to the Lord. And then, after that, we use whatever we need for our expenses. Does that make sense? It's just the same thought process, same way of acting, but we have to act a little bit differently. Or we have to build that connection differently. That I'm going to serve the Lord with what I earn. And then whatever is left, I'm using in the service. The amount, percentage, all of that can vary upon our circumstances. But we have to act in a way where we keep Krishna in the center. To please the Lord first. And then when we do the actions along with that, it makes it easier. And it could be even $1. It's not about how much we donate. It's more the mood with which we donate. Right? Again, of course, there is need of funds, and we need to have more funds, and everything needs to go on and whatnot. But this is the internal mood to cultivate. That's the point I'm trying to send home. That Shastra is there for us to understand how much or what we need to do. But along with the Shastra, we also need to have that connection building. That is a parallel thing that we have to work on. Okay, so I'll stop there and I'll open up for the questions. At least 3 questions. And then after that we'll do some more kirtan. And after that we have Prashant. So there is a mic somewhere around there? Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, thank you for the class. It was something very relevant for all of us. I have a question/comment, essentially. So, if we are going to make a comparison, suppose we have, say, a devotee who follows all the rules by the books, every rule that his guru or his sampradaya taught him, and he's following everything by the book, and he's leading his life, his spiritual life. And on the other side, we have, say, a mother who is in love with Krishna very innocently. She takes care of him, might taste the fruit before giving shabari, or might make the khichdi while brushing, there was a mother a devotee. So, what makes Krishna more happy? like, is it just following the rules by the book, or someone who innocently loves Krishna? And I'm not talking personally, it's just to clarify that yes, I appreciate the rules and regulations, and personally I appreciate when my mentors tell me and I want to follow. But what is that thin line?
Yes, thank you. That's a very nice question, actually. But there are two things that we have to understand here. And Prabhupada uses this gives this analogy, and that is what I would say is the best way to understand it. Rabindranath Tagore. Do you know Rabindranath Tagore? Okay. Anyone knows his qualification? He's given doctorate, right? Did he go to school? Do you know?
I know that he was given the doctorate.
That's right. Yeah, he didn't go through the process like 99% of us who'll go through to get doctorate degree. He was honored that degree because of what he did as in his actions. Okay? But not everyone, if that's the case, all the universities would be closing their doors tomorrow. Not everyone is going to be eligible to do what Sabri did. Not everyone is going to be able to get the honor like what Rabindranath Tagore did. So, for us, our safeguard is following what our scriptural injunctions are mentioning. Like, even to the point where our authorities in Guru Parampara, if they follow, then we cannot express, or one should not come out in a way where they end up thinking that, oh, I am above them. In a way, it is saying that or acting like that when someone does that, right? Or let's put it this way. Even if that is the case, that this individual might be an exception, he'll be honored in time. And that honor system can happen in a way the Lord wants it to be. Until then, he still follows the path what is given to him by the previous acharyas. Yena. Okay. What's the word? Basically, we follow the path that is followed by the Mahajanas. We don't make our own path. And if during the course of us following that, so this is kind of going with, let's take example of the 6 Goswamis. Okay? Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami, personally Radharani and Krishna came and served them, right? And they didn't want that, but it came to them. But they still were doing what their spiritual master told them to do, which is you go to the Dham and you do what needs to be done in terms of writing the books, in terms of reviving the Dham. And they did that. And along with that, this all kept happening. So, for us, we can see and look upon those examples as a way to get there, that, oh, I want to be a devotee like that. Like, where it's so, I think you use the word innocence, right? With that innocence. But it might be something which might come too premature, and that's why we safeguard to always following what the Sadhu, Guru and Shastra says. And then we know we are going to be okay. So, who knows, there could be the preparation of this lifetime, and then the next time you might be one of those individuals, or you're just asking in general, so anyone could be. But for this lifetime it might be different too. And that is kind of something which we learn from 6.43, where Prabhupada mentions about himself and his spiritual master. That when Krishna asks the question, and what happens to those who are following all this path and they fall down? Do they have any hope, or they continue on like that? And then Prabhupada says that our humble self and spiritual master comes in this kind of family where previously wherever we left off, we were able to continue on. Right? And even then, as we see, at least for us, a living example was Prabhupada, who followed all of that. He did not just whimsically just kind of kiboshed all the rules and regulations and just said, do bhakti the way you like. He in fact said that because I'm imposing rules and regulations, people would go away. Because I'm not letting them act like the other, many others do. And he also said that if I tell you all the rules and regulations, you won't be able to take a step outside of the bathroom, washroom. Because by the time you come out, you'll all be already unclean. That's how much there are rules and regulations to follow. Right? So there are both sides to it. But at the same time, our safeguard is following what the spiritual authority is giving us. And if you do that, we are safe. And if that kind of spontaneous love is going to come, it'll come at some point in time. And the Lord would reciprocate. Lord would reciprocate in so many ways where we could actually see that. And that is between you and the Lord. There is nothing to be third party to be involved in it. Spiritual master maybe if need be, but if not, spiritual master will be aware of that as well. But it won't be something that would be publicized. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks for the answer. One experience I would like to share. Before 2 or 3 years ago, I asked the same question to my mentor, and the answer was very similar. So it's wherever we go in ISKCON, the rules and regulations and the answers are always going to be same or similar kind of. And the question I have is, what is the difference between false ego and true ego? And what is ego?
Yes, thank you. So, man buddhi ahankar, right? That's how it goes. Mind, intelligence, and ego. So, the false ego is that I am this body, or whatever my mind says I am. It could be anything that we might think that we are. As in, if I look myself in the reflection in the mirror, I might think I am this body. Oh, I need to fix this, that, all of that. But that is the ahankar, which is not the true ahankar or the false ego. We are not this body. We are spirit soul who are having an experience of this body as a human body. Right? The same way an animal could be having an experience of animal body. So that is what the false ego is. When I think I am not this body, or I am this body rather, and then along with that comes the relationship with this body, and then we continue to act only on that relationship, but not our true identity, our true ego, that, oh, I am Atma, and my connection is with Paramatma and Bhagwan. Then we are entering into our true identity. That is the true ego. So that true ego is what man, buddhi and ahankar turns into. So when you go to the spiritual world, you'll have mind, you'll have intelligence, and you'll also have the ego, but that would be true ego. Or in the material world here, you could be serving, and that service can be done keeping the Lord in the center. And when Lord is in the center, you're serving the Lord, then you're using your identity in a proper way by serving the Lord. So that is your true ego. Does that help? Yes. But we don't say that we are nothing. Right? It's not like we're going to merge into the light. That is not our identity, and that's why the distinction between false ego and true ego. Okay.
Thanks, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And the